Please welcome Dr. Gaonyalelwe Maribe, who's going to talk to us about taking R and Shiny into production.
Hello, everyone. So, as I've already been introduced, as you can see there, I'm also a data scientist at Modus, data carpentry instructor, and I'm still affiliated with the University of Pretoria. So I just want to walk you through my train of thought as I was coming up with this title. Firstly, I saw an ad on submitting an abstract, and that was my title. And then as soon as I had to actually come up with something, then that changed to this one. And then when it got accepted, then it changed to that one. Yeah, and it kept on changing up until yesterday. So it's really difficult to try to take all this and put it into one talk. And this is a project that I actually did a long time ago. And I think it's very useful for the R community to see that, not only Python people can actually come up with production level code and solutions, but we also can. Right, so I decided, let me come up with a demo and show you what I'm actually building. And then hopefully if you see the demo, you'll decide the title for yourself. Okay, so this was the problem that I solved many moons ago. So I was working for the Research Council at the University of the Free State, and they wanted to know if tutorials actually helped with performance. So the problem was combine two data sets, attendance and student performance, and then investigate the impact. I mean, we're doing pretty basic statistical stuff, t-test, f-test, and correlation. And my problem was, what's going to happen when I leave? Are they going to be able to use the solution that I'm going to build for them? Okay. So the solution being, just develop something that can automate the entire report. Okay, you have 216 modules, and if you have to go through every module and try to figure out impact, that's going to take a while. Computers generally don't mind doing stuff like this. Okay. Before I get into this, it's always good to sort of get an indication of who's listening. How many of you have heard of R before? Okay, cool. How many of us have had some experience with Shiny? Great. Git? Great. Docker? Great. ShinyProxy? Perfect. So all those tools are actually in this talk, and I hope I can finish everything. I'm going to start first of all with I'll tab. So I'm going to start first of all with the demo and show you how this works. So you log in, and then you go to the application. And then as soon as you get to the application, it's going to launch the application. It launches an instance of Docker. But the user doesn't know that. You browse, you go get your attendance data. And then after you get the attendance data, it will give you a bunch of stuff over there. Press next, we'll say awesome. Now you get the performance data. Also super easy for the people that will be using this. And then when you're done, it will actually compile everything. Okay, it was actually faster when I was practicing this. And also you'll notice there's a spelling there. I put patient instead of patient. There's a reason for that. Okay, so what it does is it will compile all this information into something that is actually usable for a report. And then they will get all these nice plots that they can use to see if this data actually makes sense. Before they actually start compiling the report, it will give them some type of graphs just to play around with. So when you start compiling the report, it actually gets the markdown, compiles the entire report, and then you can download it as a PDF, HTML, Word, whatever. I just want to show you how the report looks like when you're done. It's down there, so I'm actually just opening it. And then it's a PDF, which is immediately useful. So you can immediately send it to faculty staff or whoever needs to read the report. It has tables, it has graphs, it has summaries, it has t-tests, and it's humanly readable, so it looks like a human wrote it. And so yeah, so that was the application. And now I'm going to show you how to actually build something like this. So the first thing that we're going to do is build the application itself. right? And then the testing aspect of it, I'm not going to discuss much. I am a statistician by profession, and so everything that I've built here goes against every fabric of software development processes. But it works. And then we're going to containerize the application. And then we're going to deploy it using ShinyProxy. Okay? And I have to just mention again, so when I was deploying this, all I needed from the IT department was, I just need to know where, just provision one instance of a server which runs Linux, and that's all you need, literally. And if you want to use AWS or Azure or anything like that, all you have to do is just click, click, click up until you get an EC2 instance, a virtual machine, and that's all you need to build this. Okay, and the code again, I realized only later on that I actually don't need all this stuff. I'm just going to explain to you what's going on, but I'm not actually going to get into the code. So this is my structure, where I have a knitr report, which is the actual application. In the application, I have decision functions. Now, decision functions are things like, oh, I'm running a t-test based on a p-value of 0.05. What does this mean? But what you return is text. All right? So the test showed that this is actually related to that. The next thing that you need is to figure out the adjectives. All right? What is very? What is small? What is large? And all these are if statements. And I know some people actually say that data scientists are people that just use if statements. As much as that's not true in this example, it's just if statements. So the data collection is, you saw when I'm clicking and I'm getting my attendance data, I'm getting my performance. That's all that it is. I'm not going to explain the code. The next thing is the data compile. So that's another process. That's when it actually takes those data files and merges them. Also not going to explain that code. And then the last aspect that I'm going to show is the reporting markdown. So what this does is, it gets all the things that I've saved somewhere. I'm not going to explain where I saved them, because I don't know. And it takes all those R data files and then actually puts them inside of a markdown, as a markdown report. Okay. And then last but not least, you have your server and your UI. So you know when you're building a Shiny application, you need a UI and you need a server. It's just that I split them up, but it's really the same thing. As I said, I'm not going to explain this. So Docker. The nice thing about Docker is that you get your project or your Shiny application and you freeze it. Okay? So everything that you have, everything in that directory, you're going to containerize it, and it's never going to be changed again, which is great for people that are working for big companies that don't want problems. At least you know that's going to be frozen. And if somebody changes a package, it's not going to mess up your entire project. And once you've containerized it, even if you're working in a large like software development cycle, you can have just a small piece that you're working on that's going to be on probably the right-hand corner that nobody's going to see. And you can just take your Docker instance and put it in there. Great. So what you need to do is, I'm just going to go through all this stuff. You first install Docker, which this works for anyone, really, depending on which Linux distribution you're using. And then you just make sure that works. You run that, and it will give you all that bunch of stuff over there. All this is done in the terminal. Okay? Literally, if you just copy all these things and paste them in there, it will work. And then afterwards, you just make sure that you change a few things. I use Nano. You can use Vim if you prefer, just to make sure that you change those specific things such that ShinyProxy works. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my knitr project. I didn't explain the part where I put it on GitHub, okay? Because of time. You pull the project and you go to the project and just build. Again, copy that whole thing, and then it will build the actual image. And once you've built the image, it will be in your memory. And of course, you need to push it, right? You're going to get all that bunch of stuff over there, not important. So you will see I get the Docker image, and then I push it onto Docker Hub. So I spoke about Docker, but there's GitHub, and then there's Docker Hub. So Docker Hub just stores all your Docker instances or your images. The reason why you put it on Docker Hub is so that when you are using ShinyProxy to actually get the Docker instances, you don't have to actually specify, oh, it's in this memory or whatever. You just specify This is the name of it. If it doesn't find it in your machine, it will go on the internet and go look for it on Docker Hub. Great. And then you need ShinyProxy. You install Java on your machine. Literally just take that code, copy and paste it. Make sure Java works. Install ShinyProxy. Get inside of ShinyProxy and just make a clean install using, so ShinyProxy will download everything for you and the instructions. The instructions are not for you, they're for your machine. So they're in something called a POM XML file. All you have to do is just navigate to that directory and then do the Marvin install. You might have to install Marvin if you don't have it. Like I said, these things look probably like there's a lot of code, but just copy and paste, really. Somebody once said, if you want to know how to put things in production, you have to be really good at installing stuff. So once Shiny is installed, you go into that directory. Now, here's the only thing that you have to figure out how it works. This is the configuration file. And this YAML file becomes available immediately after you install ShinyProxy. At this point, I still haven't said like what I actually did because all these things seem so obvious. Once you have them, for your next project, you just keep doing the same thing. So in this YAML file, which will be in your ShinyProxy folder, you will have a portion where you can add the users to your application. And by the way, every user will have their own instance of the Docker image. So nobody will ever have to conflict and use, you using someone else's reporting mechanism. So you will put in all the people that are using the application. I had a department of about 30 people, so I provisioned a cluster for 30 people, which was not a lot. If you want to do it for 1 million people, I don't know how to do that. And then you have the Docker configuration. So there you will see the only important thing that you need to pick up really is right over there. Okay? So that's the only thing that you might have to change, where I have the name of my image, and then I have the description of it, and then lastly, I have just that tag name. And literally, when you plug this in there, if it's not finding it in your server, it will go look for it on Docker Hub. And then lastly, it's just a few little minor details there, like 500, so make sure that all the files that you're putting onto your server are actually within that range of megabytes, and you just log. Okay? So generally you will have, if you go to ShinyProxy, if you go on their website, they will give you this YAML file and they will explain everything and how you can configure it yourself if you want to add an additional layer of security, if you want to integrate this with Kubernetes, anything you want to do is available. And ladies and gentlemen, you are done. Then it comes to deployment. Okay? When you get to this stage, you've pretty much done everything. All you have to do in your terminal is just to run the following commands. So if you are debugging, it's always best just to run this without the no-hoop thing. All that it does is it makes sure that even when you exit the terminal, your application is still running. So obviously, if somebody provisions a server for you, they will give you the address to the server. And if you, within that domain, you just go to, in this case, this is aces.ufs.ac.za, and bam, there's the application. If you are provisioning an EC2 instance on Amazon, for instance, it will give you a private IP address that you can mask into a URL and make your application freely available to everyone. Literally, that's it.